way into the conversation, and I'll be glad to support some of your feedback. Now, joining us for the conversation is none other than Madame Mora Mochabo. She's not new to Science TV, but she is with a guest who are going to be introducing themselves right about now. Karibuni.
Thank you very much.
Yes. Yeah, but you look flashy.
Thank you. It's so cold, we need some brightness.
we need things to brighten us up in this gloomy electioneering period.
Exactly.
I have manners. I will start with a guest. Kindly introduce yourself.
Good evening, viewers. My name is Sarah Busibori, a former Light of Autism Kenya 2019 to 2020.
Yes.
A self-advocate. I'm autistic. I'm an autistic adult. Yes, and I'm happy I'm here.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for making time. Madam Mochabo.
Always a pleasure to be here.
Yes.
Sylvia Mora Mochabo is my name. The founder of Andy Speaks for Special Needs Persons, a parent of 2 children on the autism spectrum, board director at the National Council for Persons with Disability, your Queen of Africa 2022, Miss Africa Elite 2020 till 2022, and Miss Africa United Nations. Mrs. now, let me correct that, I'm still getting used to it. Mrs. Africa 2022, going to represent our continent under the United Nations International Project.
Okay. I thought I would break the news, but you decided to go ahead of me.
Sorry to burst your bubble.
I was like, yeah, she's going to represent Africa. I'm like, no, you're not going to be excited about my news. Now, I'm going to pick the most interesting thing. This is going to start off our conversation.
Yeah.
Board member at the National Council for Persons with Disabilities.
Yes.
We are in the electioneering period. Allow me to ask you, how is the National Council for Persons with Disabilities preparing to make sure that persons with disabilities are meaningfully participating in the coming general elections?
Good question. So the council has been, ever since the election was said that it is coming.
Yes.
But of course, closer to the time, there is intensification of it, and there's been a lot of strides. Because first it started with mobilizing PWDs to register, because if you don't register, then our right to vote is not
Valid.
Valid per
Yes.
se, quote unquote. So with that, the success rate is more than 1.3 million PWDs have registered,
Yes.
which I believe is a good milestone. And also with the lobbying, we have your product actually, a system has been adopted to support persons with hearing impairment to be able to access sign language interpretation through the app. And then we also have for the trainers, they have Braille.
Yes.
For those who are visually impaired, so the material has been interpreted to Braille,
Yes.
so they're able to learn and also be able to support. Apart from that, if in the accessibility of polling stations, if let's say one of the polling stations has no access, that means like ramps are not available, there will be a tent set aside for those who cannot access. Those are the ones who are using the wheelchair. So you can see there is great strides that have actually, if we come to employability, we have PWDs who are going to be doing the monitoring. We have those who actually who will be getting employed under IEBC and the partners. So there is a very long list. So you can see we are at work. So work is
at work.
Yes.
But the hard questions do not come at the beginning.
Bring it.
You have to set a preamble for the conversation. Bosibori, now I want to loop you into the conversation. Have you ever participated in an election? And if yes, tell us your experience.
Yes, I have. I actually voted. My first time voting was in 2017.
Yes.
As any other Kenyan would say, the experience was just standing on the line of so many people and just waiting for hours and hours to go and get your opportunity to put your
to
vote
cast your ballot,
to cast the vote. So yeah, it has been a good experience. At least first hand, experience of now seeing how our leaders are
Yes.
and how they behave and the leadership styles they acquire or
Yes.
show the public. I see there is change, and sometimes there is the bad leadership skills of which we are trying to remove from leaders, because for me personally, it's a personal thing. I don't really like politics because politics is basically a dirty game. But
All right. Yes.
To be frank with you, and I was just talking, I told Sylvia earlier on that I came to realize I'm currently doing a course by yearly leadership.
Yes.
And under my modules, there's so many things to do with public management. And for me, that basically contributing and having discussions with fellow East African leaders. Just the discussion itself is politics. So for me, that was a new mindset that I had about politics. So yes.
Now the big question is, 7 days to the polls. Based on your experience in 2017, are you willing to go down the road 5 years later, 7 days from now?
Yes, I would say I would be among Kenyans who would go and vote.
The 22 million Kenyans.
Yes, because why not? And we need, in order for that change to happen, we must make a vote. Otherwise, it won't make a difference.
Yes.
Yes.
Madam Sylvia, you're nodding your head.
Oh yes, I was trying to think how to answer that question. Will I vote? And this I'll change my heart to a parent. Because first of all, as we know, here in Nairobi we have all imports from all areas of all other constituencies.
Yes.
And this is the time where everyone goes back to vote back home. Yet you come and live here in Nairobi.
Yes.
But then you're making decisions for people who are back home. So that means 80% chances my nanny might go back home to vote.
So you're not at all wanting your nanny to go back home.
So I am thinking, okay, it's either me or her. One of us has to lose a vote, you know?
Yes.
Because from my past experience, I've never experienced invisible disabilities being given that opportunity. Worse still, as a parent, if I go with a child, my child's disability is not obvious. So if I go and say that I would like to be prioritized, people will give you that side look of like, you know, how special do you think you are, you know? So it's either I don't vote and take care of my kids at home, or my nanny loses her vote and stays home with the kids so that I can go to vote. And like you heard her say, it is lines and hours and hours. So I'm even I'm trying to picture a neurodivergent person. You know, they're all different. It's a very wide spectrum. Whose patients, whose teams, who gets who that cluster, who's very claustrophobic. Because that's why when I was I'm trying to think hours. My son can't even do, you know, when you look at someone with ADD and ADHD, they can't settle for 10 minutes.
And you're wanting them to stay in the line for hours.
Exactly my point. Yet if they walked here, they look like any other human being. Until now, the environment becomes
starts encroaching onto them.
Then that's when now you start. And then after that, everyone starts branding you. Kwani umekuwa mwenda wazimu, you know. And that's the reality on the ground that people need to realize.
So, before you even go into creating the awareness, and we have the government has played probably its role in through what you've said the National Council is doing, but on a private sector level, because you're also in the private sector and you are also at Andy Speaks for Africa, especially what are organizations doing to make sure that persons with disabilities and with neurodiverse disabilities are participating in the coming general elections?
One thing I know for sure, this year there was intensive meetings. First of all, with key stakeholders, different DPOs, CDOs came together to just highlight the challenges of the the let me call represent who you represent, because
Yes.
you're either an organization for
Yes.
or of.
Yes.
So all of you come together. It's like the same way me, I'm here, I'm representing my child. Her,
Yes.
she's here, she's
Representing herself.
Yeah. So we come together. What are the challenges? Because I wouldn't know everything, you know. Then now, those who are cumulatively, there is actually a disability committee that
Yes.
sits with IEBC and has these discussions.
Yeah.
So that has been there over time. It was a big committee that meets.
Yeah.
Then now it narrows down. Then there is that, let me say, executive committee, for lack of a better word, that now goes ahead and has the conversation with
Yes.
with IEBC. So they're pushing the agenda when decisions are being made to ensure that the inclusion is there. And one thing I'd like to celebrate, I think we've had great milestones now, as much as it is not, personally, from all the achievements I had, there was only one mention of the neurodiverse, which is now assisted voting, but I don't feel that's enough. Yeah.
Possibly to you. She's talked about different organizations for or of persons with disabilities coming together, bringing views of persons with disabilities in regards to the elections. Then it goes into sort of an executive committee, and then it is propelled all the way to the leadership at IEBC. Have you had an opportunity to participate in some of these barazas or meetings of DPOs? And if yes, which are some of the conversations and the fears that fellow persons with disabilities shared in these meetings?
Yes, I was called by Sylvia, and she it's just not only me.
Yeah.
We're a few adults, Kenyan adults, that actually can express ourselves and are more knowledgeable about how we faced our challenges and how we want it solved. So Sylvia added me into one of her committees, and then also other caregivers who also have their own organizations. What we call it came by actually how I met all these people was on a group called Kenya Autism Alliance.
Yes.
So most of the parents there, most of the people in the group are mainly parents who have children with autism or therapists. So from there they pick the people that they know can express themselves and are knowledgeable about this thing. So thank you for this opportunity, Sylvia.
Don't give her props.
Let's go.
I think because of the challenges her son go through, I might not have the same signs for autism because we're all different. But we know there is a common ground of the challenges we go through. So for me, yes, I'm a self-advocate, but I also want to advocate for the ones who are voiceless, because I believe if we don't do it, if the parents don't do it, and if us, the adults who are high-functioning adults, don't do it, who will? So that's
one of the biggest challenges.
Yes.
That some of the other people that might be in those particular groups, they are not able to eloquently say which would be their challenges.
Yes.
Now, Madam Mora, this is where now I also bring you back into the conversation. From a point of a caregiver, what are other caregivers saying and what are their fears? And also on that part of assisted voting. How sure are you're gonna vote for the person your darling son would want to vote for?
Okay, that's a good one. Because one of the things is some of them will be non-verbal.
Yes.
It doesn't mean they're non-understanding. It doesn't mean that they don't have their own opinions.
Yes.
It's just that sadly, in our country, we've given very limited options of communication, which is Kenyan Sign Language. If they can't talk, sign language is complex enough for them. What other options have we given them? Has anyone ever thought of that? So as much as for us as the neurodiverse community, we are coming in late to start this conversation. Because you see now, when you look at the scorecard of what has been done for PWDs, we are always left to fight again. You see, like PWD sport. Then we're like, hey, you know we exist.
When we're already up the ladder.
When everything, so we're at that point like, hey, you guys, like you totally forgot our issues when you thought that you're being represented.
Yeah.
So if I look at that, there is that actual, because there is other alternatives, like if you use the pictures, if the photos, I don't know, trust me, I can't remember when I last voted. I know I voted, which year, if things have changed, but I really want to
You're
vote.
not being a patriot right there.
I am, I just don't recall. Because not that I've never voted, I know I have voted.
Yes.
Because I'm really struggling to remember the details. If there was a photo or was it the signs of the parties, those are different things, or a name. I'm going somewhere, relax. Because look at this, yeah?
Yes.
For my son, if you say apple, there are days he will know very well bring me an apple and bring it.
Yes.
But there are days, as in there are moments I will say it and he will be blank and bring me an orange. But then if I show you, go bring me this, which is a photo, which is called picture exchange. It's one of the learning styles that we talk and communicate with. They know exactly, they know
what
their
they are supposed to
expectations.
do.
Remember, they're sitting, they take in all this information.
Yeah.
They know, they watch. Trust you me, when it gets to my middle son has an automated clock.
Yes.
At 7.
He's already
Me, I
up.
don't even know. No, he's not up. He says news. I'm like,
At 7.
I don't even sometimes remember 7 and 9 a.m. That's how you know it's o'clock.
Yes.
He will raise the house down for news.
Until
And he will sit and watch, and he knows all the opening songs for all media stations. And he will pass anywhere and tell you KTN, Citizen, like that. So that's what I'm just trying to tell you, that the fact they don't talk, he's not fully verbal.
Yeah.
But see, he knows, he can relate, he understands. Do you know he sees the president and he tells you Kenya? He knows. He can identify even the flag of Kenya. You know?
Yeah.
Yet society has branded them as they cannot do things. That's what I want us to demarcate.
yes.
Just because they're challenged in a certain area doesn't mean they don't understand.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean they don't have their own thoughts, their own understanding, their own choices. So their right to vote is still valid. It could be an adult who is struggling, but if you give them a laptop,
Yes.
they will answer everything. I went and I told, we had Paula was interning at Andy Speaks.
Yeah.
I just told her one sentence. What are your thoughts on elections? I didn't even, I looked at it, I was like, wow.
She wrote
Give
a whole
someone,
essay.
yes, within 10 minutes, I gave someone else and they're like, oh my God, this is exceptional. I'm like, yeah, that's what's from an actually autistic person. That's just to show you, just because they get the challenges that they go through, they also have their own opinions,
Yeah.
they also understand what's going on, and they can also participate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
On that very point, there is a fear behind the caregiver or the parent's head. Which are some of these fears? Because you've already told us the parent is aware, my child can. So how do we demarcate, as you've put it, that fear from the parent and then translate that into an opportunity for them to make their own decisions? Because it's not only about the elections, because the elections come only in 5 years.
That's what.
But there are other decisions that they're supposed to make for themselves. The kind of schools they go to, the kind of tutor they would want to teach them. How does the caregiver go over all this overwhelming information?
First of all, I'll tell you the cycle for us as caregivers once you get the news. 1 is, no, it is not true. Denial. 2, you land into some sort of depression after that until you get to the point of acceptance, and trust me, no one can force you. Only at that point is when you're able to assist your child, because you will accept them, embrace them, and do something and want to do. She's here because the mom decided she'll go to school come rain or shine.
Do not give her a heads up, because that's where I was going. How was it like with mom?
Okay, you said for us caregivers, but the fear that we have now is first access to these schools. Because remember, for this child to be able to vote, let's go back to who we are voting for. The people we are voting for need to be able to include, ensure transition, ensure sufficient, well-equipped, and not just equipped that I assume, with equity.
Yeah.
This one is a vocal learner, this one is audio, this one is tactile, this one is, you know, visual. Give them what they need to get to where they need to be.
Yes.
Once you put that in healthcare, us parents will not have fears. The next fear and the only thing will be my neighbor and the environment.
Yeah.
If you look at transport, my fear will be like, how is he going to the voting station? Not that they cannot go.
Yeah.
But our if it's too loud, remember the sensitivity of an autistic person, mobility of, let's say, a child with cerebral palsy who can function, but it's just their mobility that is challenged. But remember, their wheelchairs are very special. It's not like any other. So you see, these are the environmental factors that limit and bring fear to us. And also, how acceptable or how is the community going to accept and embrace my child? Because limitations don't bring themselves. Limitations are from the mind. You as my neighbor, if you embrace and acknowledge my child has a limitation and make changes, you've created a pathway for them to be unstoppable and do everything. But the minute you start from, I don't want to see you with that child, they don't talk, maybe even you know, some things are not contagious. And that is where now we create our own issues even where they don't exist as a community. So once the community supports us as caregivers, and I don't know where we lost that thing, totally our community. Amani, only our children that they stop being the child of the community. Inakuwa ni mtoto wako. Anyway, even the husbands have shown us. Because sometimes they leave, a good percentile, they leave and you're left as a single mother. And you know, that is one of the other great fears that parents always have. I go there, I expose my child. For those who are not accepted, then everyone will know I have a disabled child. You know, because remember, if the environment becomes overwhelming and then they start steaming, and steaming is just a character to self-regulate and feel calm so that you're able to survive in that challenging environment. Everyone else will brand you as a weird person. etc. Andrew can start talking to himself. That's who he is. But in the house, he's in a safe space. So imagine there is a day I sat, he was in that spell, and I'm like, Jesus Christ. Do you know, you're almost a teenager.
Yes.
You will go out there, then you start doing these things. Everyone will think you're mad. You know, it's my reality. But I'm trying to think of how his life outside will be.
Yeah.
So my
because you want
like,
him to go out there.
I want him to be integrated into society. I want him to be able to be independent, to do everything on his own. But remember, I'm not fearing for him. I'm fearing because of how the community and society reacts to his challenges and his adaptation to the environment.
But you're not off the hook as yet, Madam Bashibori.
It's okay.
In your perspective, what would you say that mom did differently on your end, or what your family did differently on your end?
Okay, first, I think before I even graduated high school, I went to I was in a special school for from class 8 to around now completion of high school. For me, now it became, my parents' fear was independence. Yes, independence. I'm on the mild spectrum of autism, so my mom would worry about my safety and people exploiting me. So for me, I would rebel actually. I was a rebel when I was a teenager and even today. So my mom didn't understand at first why I'm rebelling. But because of our parents, they tend to be overprotective because we are deemed as the weaklings in society. So I proved so many people wrong, and I rebelled myself into independence basically. So when she saw that, she was like, "Allah, kumbe Sarah can be she can be independent." So after having that mindset now that Sarah is being independent.
Yeah.
It changed her mindset of like, she has difficulties.
Yeah.
When will she ever be independent? It's still a hard thing for parents to understand.
Yeah.
Us, because autism is a very complex condition. Even scientists themselves don't understand what it
They
is.
haven't as yet come to a conclusion what exactly goes on.
Yes. So what we do about it is basically manage our signs and also the support given by a caregiver, the parent.
Yeah.
Is what makes us prosper in society. Now the transitioning part of like from high school to now college, because I went to a mainstream college.
Yeah.
What I realized was they in high school they don't really, in a special school they don't really teach us on just transitioning to now a normal integrated environment. So for me it was difficult. I still didn't accept myself as an autistic person. I was then, they call it masking. Yeah. Because we are taught in society to always become that normal person. So
the imposter syndrome kicks in.
Yes, it happens a lot to us females who who are autistic.
Yeah.
And even on the neurotypicals, now kawaida people, ladies, we mask a lot. Yeah. But now for us autistic ladies, it's really challenging to kind of manage it. But we learn from many. Like I myself, I am a co-admin of a worldwide autistic group where I entered it because I wanted to interact with people like myself.
Yeah.
So I came to understand that though we're different, we all share that kind of masking. And from there, I knew I wasn't alone.
Yeah.
But now what we're trying to push over here in Kenya is more of like acceptance in the society, changing the narrative of how people look at us. Yeah. Basically, yeah.
Okay, and I hope you are not mistaking self-advocacy for rebelling, because you might
I'm rebelling for good reason.
And on that note, we're gonna take a break, but when we come back, we're gonna be discussing about access to information. You already said there is a deficit in a way the autistic people receive or absorb information. So in terms of elections, how do they get to absorb the information? And in terms of even deciding, I am voting for party A or I am voting for particular person A, how do they go about it? We're having that conversation when we come back from this break. Keep it science. In 2011, Science Media Kenya Limited was formed, and in 2015, we officially applied to the Communications Authority of Kenya to run a television station broadcasting in sign language. Operating on a social enterprise model, our objectives are to propagate social, economic, political, and talent development of persons with disabilities. Uniquely, Science TV has enabled many persons with disabilities to harness their talents by supporting their creativity and by extension reducing discrimination, social stigma, and boosting their self-esteem. 60% of our employees are persons with disabilities. With this talent pool, we have emerged as winners in several international and national awards. We were the first runners-up in the Communications Authority of Kenya 2018-2019 Kuza Awards. 2018 SDG Ambassadors, an award by the UNDP, British Council and ActionAid. 2019 Disability Inclusion Corporate Champion in the Diara Awards, and we also are among the top 50 ranked solutions by the Youth Sustainable Development Solutions Network, and we featured in the Youth Solutions Report 2019, which was unveiled at the 74th UN General Assembly. And in 2020, we were awarded at the Zero Conference 2020 as the best tool to support communications in Vienna, Austria. In 2020, the world was hit by the pandemic and many people were affected, among them persons with hearing impairment, as the usage of face masks and isolation measures made communication an impossibility. With experience in the field, we launched Assist All, a sign language interpretation mobile application to provide communication between the hearing impaired and different service providers. Post-COVID-19, the application shall be used in higher education, employment, judicial systems, and social settings. Find the application on the Google Play Store. Are you implementing, working, or championing for inclusion? Partner with us to ensure inclusivity in every communication or project undertaken by you. Get in touch with us. The website is www.sciencemediake.com. The email is info@sciencemediake.com. Telephone 0111 980384, or you can find us on Twitter @Science TV Kenya. Welcome to the home of inclusion, and let's make communication beautiful.
We are glad you're watching Science TV.
Asi, iya, andoma mosie. Science TV is now in Machakos, Kitui, and Makueni counties. Science TV, leaving no one behind.
As a professional or a corporate entity, download the app from the Google Play Store or App Store and proceed to register as a corporate entity from the drop-down menu. Edit your profile and add your phone number onto the profile. You can then load money into your wallet using an M-Pesa push notification or via Visa debit card details. You are now ready for professional interpretation services. Download the app from the Google Play Store or App Store today.
Welcome to Science TV Entertainment.
Hypocrite. First cafe.
Every Monday and Wednesday.
What's up, my people?
Join Shike on Science Mashariki. On Tuesdays, we bring you Science Mashariki Bongo edition. We take it back in time every Thursday on our TBT segment of the Extravaganza with DJ Latona and Kolo Boy. And when the sun goes down, join Mpata and DJ Smollett on Rumba Moto Moto.
Wow, wow.
On Friday, it's the Lovers edition on the Blues and R&B segment.
She makes the hands on the back of my neck stand up.
And when the sun goes down, tunapiga sherehe on the playlist show with Shike, DJ Latona and Kolo Boy. On Saturdays, we have the Festival of Love and Culture on the Reggae Fest with DJ Smollett and Bill Clinton Odhiambo.
This is not my city, I'm just visiting. I'm just pillaging the villages. I see two pretty diamonds that I want. I know they're gonna give it up.
On Sunday, join Augustine Tunda on the Gospel Sanjola.
Sanjolama Yahweh na bito Sanjolama. Sanjolama Yahweh na bito Sanjolama.
Science TV, leaving no one behind.
First with me, Alan. Oh my goodness. It's not yet morning, it's the evening. Welcome back from that break. You're still watching Science Prime at 7. I am your host, Alan Hubbard. Sign language interpreter this evening is Jedida Wafula. In studio with me, I am with Sarah Bosibori and Madame Sylvia Mora Mochabo. This evening we're talking about those invisible disabilities and how exactly they get to participate in the general elections. And because the general elections only come after 5 years, it is also important how do they to get to know how do they participate in decision making on a daily basis. Now, if you missed the first round of the conversation, all you've got to do is visit our social media platforms at Science TV Kenya, at the Alan Hubbard, and you'll be able to get snippets of this particular conversation. Now, I would not want to ask you a direct question, but there is something that we were talking about over the break. Can you pick that line of thought?
We talked a lot. Give me the cue and trust.
The most interesting part. Well, we're talking about, we wade onto the part of are there options, even as people are getting registered as voters. Your question would be, when you're registering as a voter, how was your experience? And then your concern was, are there even allocations or spaces or openings for me to come and say, yes, I am a person who is autistic and I can fully make my decisions at the polling station. To make this enticing, let's start with Mosibor. Give us a rundown when you are registering as a voter in 2017.
Okay, the first thing I did was when they were calling for us to come and register as voters.
Yes.
So when I went to go there, and I had like a form to fill where like the county I am at,
yes,
sub-county, where I would like to vote from.
Yes.
Yeah, basically that type of information. But now the thing that they left out,
yes,
were like recognition of are you a person living with a disability? Yes or no? They didn't have such
yeah.
a thing.
And there was not even a specific to show that, yes, I am a person with disability and this is my particular disability.
Yeah, no, they didn't have completely.
Yeah.
Yes.
Does that create a problem?
Yes, of course. I will jump right in. Yes, of course, it is a very big problem because how prepared then the IBC know and how many types of disabilities there are there, how many people to expect in which area to make the proper inclusive accessibility.
Yeah.
So it's not about waking up today and say, oh, we're trying to be inclusive. It starts from that point of registration. That means you're armed already and you know.
Yeah.
And if this person now comes, because I am even asking myself, Sarah has a disability, like you said, invisible disability. She'll
Yes.
show up at the polling station. Maybe that's not one of those good days, because those days do come, where you cannot stand for those hours.
Yeah.
When your sensitivity is higher than normal, when you cannot stand all these noises around you. Remember, an autistic person takes in a lot visually, you know, they are very hypersensitive. So if this day they can't handle it, they can't stay in line, will our disability card be valid as for her if she goes and say I'm a person with disability? And verification, I'll tie it to verification. Let's take it to intellect. Verification. If that was not captured, I have the disability card. Yes, maybe they'll say give us your ID, and that is it too, to tell you the two. But to curb misuse, as we have seen, I'll put on my big card, cards, and data confirmation. Are our systems integrated in government? You know, that's one of the things that we should be looking at. That's to answer that. For me as a caregiver, maybe my child is a young adult. They're nonverbal, they're not voting. But I want to vote. I don't have a caregiver at home because nannies and family, remember this is a day, if I was telling my experience when my last time why I didn't vote, I've actually remembered why I didn't vote. We had convulsions for 3 hours. We were in ICU by midday.
Oh my goodness.
That's why I didn't
And
vote.
for you to get a clear opportunity, you have to be at the polling station by 3 a.m. in the morning.
So I could not vote the last time. You know, but that just shows you, if we have special accommodations that actually, if the people in diaspora can do it, you know, or an online option of doing your votes, then it would increase the number of voters, in the number of decision makers, you know, because now if I carry my 18-year-old child who has an invisible disability, because I can't leave them or lock, because if I lock them in the house, then everyone will come stoning me.
That's a crime. That's another crime.
Thank you very much.
They are
the
not
story
willing.
of our lives.
They are not willing to let you walk with them in society. But when you lock
But if
them
I
up,
lock them up, it is another problem. You see, so that means if I walk with them, then someone will look at you like, oh, naenda wapi, and then you say mtoto. Because remember, for some of those with neurodevelopmental disabilities, there is the mental age and then there's the chronological age. I could be 18, but a 10-year-old.
at heart.
Yes. my system is 10 years. And that's a fact, and that's how it is. So that's why we want the community to just embrace that there is a special community that needs special providence. If someone walks up to you and just says, kindly excuse me, I have a child with a disability, as much as you cannot see, because we cannot wait for them to stay in line, start having a meltdown, for everyone to look at me like this, get a grip of your child, or this child is a spoiled, you know, this mother like, hey, you know, some of them tell us to beat our kids. I'm like, you have no idea what I'm dealing with, you know. We've learned to just block the noise to survive in community. So let's just be a bit kinder at this time.
Yes.
Yes.
Bashibori, when we were going for the break, I had posed the question before we went on a longer train of thought. Access to information. How do you access information to show up to go register for the Huduma numbers? How do you access information to go register as a voter? And how do you get information? How do you march down this information so that you can understand it for you to meaningfully participate? And if there are any challenges, what would you think are some of the solutions to make information even more accessible to all other persons with disabilities?
I would say personally, I'm a visual person, so maybe if it's advertised on TV or like on a magazine or the newspapers, but not all persons with all autistic people
will be able to use the same names.
Yes, exactly. But they should be on all media. Would I call it resource channels?
Yes.
Yeah, all media channels. On the autistic people who love perusing on the newspaper. magazines, on TV,
Yeah.
advertisements on YouTube.
Her case,
exactly.
her case being queued for the news.
Yes, exactly. Exactly.
Yes.
So they should be all those media channels. Yeah, they should be advertised on all those.
Yeah. In a situation where they are not advertised, what is the disadvantage to you and to other persons with autism?
We get left out. Yes, because they don't consider how different we are
Yeah.
from the rest. So if we tell them, hey, would you please advertise on and let's see visually what you're saying as a form of communication.
Yeah.
That's not so hard. It's just like the trending things that happen
Yeah.
on social media. Every child in Kenya knows Facebook,
Yeah.
Instagram. Why not also have these things there? Yeah, that's why you can target so many
Asking
people.
me a question that I do not have an answer. Madam Sylvia,
Yeah.
what Bosibori is talking about brings a very, very controversial topic in the country. Resources. Because yes, they would say, yes, we want to do it, by the way, we do. But the biggest problem is we do not have resources. Is resources an scapegoat? And if it is not an scapegoat, how do we solve the issue on resources?
How can you talk of resources when you have billions being stolen? Integrity. Can we just go back to basics? To our leaders as we are voting.
Yes.
Let's have leaders with integrity, prioritization,
Yeah.
inclusive, and equity.
Yeah.
The minute you stand up and you have those values, you will feel the pain I will feel when a typical child has free education, yet I have to pay 100,000 for my child to be accommodated. When NHIF is free for some and accessible, when I have to pay for therapy 3 times a week as an extra cost.
Yes.
And that means I'm doing speech therapy, occupational therapy, right? I have to have special education assistive devices, which I will not get tax exemption. Yet the MP
Has a car grant.
Thank you very much. So, the minute we leave out,
I'm not picking on anybody.
no, so you get what I'm talking about.
Exactly.
Equity, selfless,
Totally.
equal distribution of resources. Consider. Just put your, and the problem is, let me just give an example.
Yeah.
When did the Constitution start having inclusion of persons with disability?
In the Constitution, it was put.
It was there. No,
completely.
application.
Completely.
Let's
I know my history completely.
Bring it.
Disability was mentioned in the Constitution in 2010. But we had an act that fully established the National Council for Persons with Disabilities all the way from 2003.
Okay, thank
Yes.
you very much. What triggered?
Huh? The late president.
When our president then, the late Honorable Mwai Kibaki,
Yes.
Excellency, had an accident and had to use a wheelchair. That's when they woke up and realized, by the way.
Ways there are people we are forgetting about.
Thank you.
And I
But why
remember
do you have to wait until it hits you?
I remember the famous story that he was not even allowed to go with a wheelchair on a Kenya Airways flight.
So experience is the best teacher. While God cannot make all of us go through these experiences, why not learn from the struggles of others? They always say you don't have to make all the mistakes in life, just learn from other people's mistakes. Because otherwise we'd just be in a roller coaster of just repeating the same issues. And so once our leaders identify that and just do what they came to do, that's it, without expecting much. Those countries that don't pay gazillions to their leaders and still perform, do they die? No. So, because we are creating a culture where we're having so many people running for these positions for the wrong reason.
Over
You understand?
10,000.
So
who are
it
in
becomes a
selection.
monkey see, monkey do. But the minute we cut the cycle and we get responsible leaders who are there for the right reason, it's not my turn to eat kind of mentality, but my turn to serve.
Yeah.
Service above self, as we say in Rotary. The minute we change that mindset, then we will see a great turnover. And these things we're saying about resources will become a thing for the past. The minute you put in the laws and you put in consequences and fact that those consequences can actually be met and justice is done, then we'll cut all this. Someone is corrupt, there are places where they get hard. Why can't we do the same? Here it becomes what we do every day. We normalize it.
A famous presidential candidate said, if you're corrupt here, you get elevated to parliament.
As other places are being had, here we make them our leaders,
here
right?
you make them our
I've
leaders.
heard that one. And that's where we go wrong.
Yes.
That's where we go wrong. As voters in this case.
You've touched on something, even as because we kind of short of time, but the conversation is getting more interesting and interesting. But as we are winding up the conversation, you touched about representation. You're gonna go first, and then possibly you're gonna tell us what you think. We've seen the lists of nominations for persons with disabilities who are going to be given an opportunity to represent persons with disabilities. We understand we cannot fully comment on it because they will only be put into place if the different political parties are sent to power. That is, but when you look at the people or the names that have been suggested and compare with those who have been there, do you see light at the end of the tunnel?
Are we talking about grassroots leaders?
We are talking about general representation of persons with disabilities. Be it at the National Assembly, be it at the County Assembly, where 17 counties in 2017 missed out on representation, and we're talking about the Senate as well.
Okay, the one thing I'll proudly say from the council point of view, that apart from that mandatory representation under persons with disability, it has also been pushed to be extended to under the section of gender. That means you have increased the possibility because you're male, then now you have a disability, so you fall in both. You understand? That's one. So I feel that we'll have better representation. The other benchmark that has been put there is your list cannot pass without proper representation. Other than the other times when it is there, it's not there, no one is checking. Right now, we are very, very vigilant that the representation has to be there. So that means if we are categorically talking about persons with disability representation, it is wider. And you can see, I don't want to start naming names and who did what. But you can see that representation also in variance of the types of disabilities is there.
To yourself, does representation to you matter? And does the representation that is selected, does it reflect you, Bossy Bori?
I would say, I think time will tell. Time will tell. Because,
time is a teller.
Yes, because we've always followed a constitution, and constitution iko hapa. All the policies are here, but are they being implemented? Implemented. Keyword, implementation. Are they being implemented? Because we as a Kenyan society tumezoea kusema na kukosa kutenda. It is a fact, by the way. It is a fact, and that's a really bad leadership trait. Because I may be neurodiverse and not so knowledgeable about politics and everything, but when it comes to leadership, you're not going there for your own personal gain. The people that elect you are trusting in you to make change. So just make that change. Yes. It's not that difficult. I know it is very difficult, but just make that change.
It's not very difficult. If we go back to remember what we said, integrity, values. If you have the values, I believe it should be like breathing. You know, let's make it the norm.
As we're making that the norm, each one of you, a minute as we're winding it up. A true parent.
Sorry, I was being carried away. But I'm really hoping and encouraging so many Kenyans to vote. I know most of us, or some people I know, they would say, niamke asubuhi, niende nipange line. alafu no difference, but
Yeah.
it will make a difference when you go stand and just cast your vote, because it will make a difference.
Yeah.
And in time you will
See
know
the fruit.
Yeah, you will see the fruits. Yes.
Thank you very much,
Yeah.
Bosibori.
And if you don't do what she said,
Yes.
and things are thick, you lose the right to bicker about the problems that the country is facing. So for you to earn the right to stand and complain
Yes.
that people are not delivering, be responsible enough.
So if they don't vote, do not
Don't
shout.
come bickering about what is not, because you did not participate when it was necessary. And I
Yeah.
know this is something that they say, we allow a certain level class to vote so that this class can make decisions,
Yeah.
yet the middle ones spectate and make noise. To change that narrative, just your civic duty and responsibility to
Yeah.
vote. And apart from that, utu, acceptance,
Yeah.
just let us go back to those days when we had some humanity when we go to vote. If someone approaches you, if it is the aged, if it is someone with a disability, and particularly for us, our community, you know, maybe in the next 5 years my son will be able to vote, so I need to start this fight now. So let us just be inclusive and understand people have different challenges, and let's just embrace their difference and give them the accommodation that they require, because all our voices matter, and together we will be able to move forward and have a better country.
Okay. Everything cannot be exhausted in a single sitting, but that has been Sarah Bosibori and Sylvia Mochabo Mora. I do not have anything to subtract, no add on that, but we're going to be having a roundtable conversation. We're going to be having it on Wednesday. It might probably come onto your screens on Thursday. So for more information, do tune into Science TV on Thursday, as we'll be bringing you that around table conversation, and we'll be bringing in other neurodiverse disabilities for them to be able to tell us what exactly do they think in the coming general election. Are they voting? Are they well catered for? Or that you'll be catching next Thursday. In all due honesty, thank you very much for making your time, and we hope that we can do this again.
We'll see you on Thursday, Wednesday, right here.
Okay, sounds out. I've been your host, Alan Albert, sign language interpreter, Jedida Wafula. All we gotta say is good night and see you tomorrow in the morning.